On the desktop here, I will make a directory and we'll just call it template, and then we'll cd into template. Before we go any further, I should mention that we're going to be using Bower to install the front-end packages that we're going to be using throughout this course. That includes Angular and Angular UI, which is broken up into many different packages. If you don't have Bower installed, you can go ahead and install it by doing npm install -g Bower, and that will go ahead and install the latest version of Bower for you. Bower is kind of like npm except for front-end libraries, and you can find out more about it at bower.io. Now, I don't just have Bower installed, I've also done a little bit of configuration. And to show you that, I'll just cat out my home directory /bower.rc. And you can see that I've set the directory equal to public/lib. If this is not set, Bower will install its components into a Bower components folder, but I prefer to put them into a public/lib folder. So you can do whatever you want, just know whenever I use public/lib inside of our script elements and things like that, that is because I've chosen to install Bower components to the public/lib folder. Okay, so with that out of the way, let's go ahead and install some components. I will do Bower install Angular for starters and give it a second and that will install. And now I'm going to do Bower install Angular-UI-utils. Now while that installs, let's go to a browser, and if you go to angular-ui.github.io, you might remember, as we saw in the last screencast, that Angular UI is broken up into several suites, and UI utils is the first suite. As you can see, these are the tools in utils here. Now all the rest of the Angular UI components that we'll be looking at are separate Bower repositories. However, the UI utils is one single repository, and so since we're going to be using that in the next couple of screencasts, I decided to go ahead and install it in our template, so we don't have to do it in every single one. Okay, so now if we look at what we have here, we have public, and inside public/lib we have Angular and Angular UI utils. So those are the two libraries that we need. So now let's go ahead and open up an app.js file. This will just be our basic application. And so let's say Angular module, and we'll just call it my app. For now, we will have no dependencies, but for each one of the different Angular UI components that we want to use, we will have to add some dependencies there. So let's go ahead and create a blank controller here. So we'll say controller, we'll call it main controller. And for now, we'll just leave this blank. There's nothing to put in here. Let's also open up an index.html file, and we'll just create our basic index template here. We can have a doc type of HTML. Let's create our HTML tags. We'll have a head and a body. Inside the head, I'll put a title, and the title will be Angular UI. Then on the body, let's do ng-app equals my app. That is the module that we just created here. And then inside the body, let's have a div, and this div will have an ng controller attribute, and it will use the main controller. Then let's add a couple of script tags here. The first one will be for public/lib/angular/ I think it's Angular UI, but let's just check. If I open public lib here, we've got Angular, and then we want angular.min.js, and utils is utils.min.js. Okay, so let's come back here and we'll say angular/angular.min.js. And then for this one, we can say public/lib/angular-ui-utils/utils.min.js. And then the last one will be app.js. There we go, and we could just make sure this is all in place by putting a message in our main controller there, and in here let's just do scope.message equals hello Angular UI. And now if we come back here and open index.html, and there you go, hello Angular UI. So we know that our little template here is working just fine. So we'll be able to copy this and use it in each of our future lessons.